you're consistent enough for a long time going to the gym, you start to hit a point where you realize that your metabolism is actually controlled by your thoughts. And there's no amount of exercise or healthy amount of foods that can allow you to outrun your stress response that's coming from your thoughts. So this is what happened to me. I was probably consistent for a few years, and I was getting to a point where I was like, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? And a lot of that was figuring out and taking time to sit back and focus on what are these thoughts that are driving my stress response? Like, what do I feel like I should be doing? Like, why am I not content right here? You know, do I need to get into like a meditation practice? And a meditation was really helpful for me because I was the type of person, I've always been like super active. Like it really, like I struggle to read unless I'm like walking on a treadmill or I've done a specific amount of exercise. But so that's where my fasting really came in. And if you are someone who has like a lot of energy like me, I have a lot of like mental chatter, just never stops. You know, I found like a safe haven in fasting because it allowed me to empty out my stores, right? So we store minerals and nutrients, and if you are like, we eat for energy, right? We eat for energy, we eat to fuel ourselves, and that is the problem with a lot of us is we eat so much, our insulin is staying so high all the time, our glucose is staying high all the time. And of course, these are growth factors that open us up to higher cancer risk. We know this, the growth factors can lead to a higher cancer risk. So being able to shut everything down, shut it off, and just find that stillness, like fasting can really help you connect with your inner spirit. That's what I truly believe. And there's no amount of, like I said, diet and exercise that can help you outrun this stress response, which a lot of that is mental if you have a lot of mental activity. And so years ago too, I went to my first reading. I went to go visit a medium and a psychic intuitive astrologer who I'm still friends with today. And I was having these hypotheses about fasting, connecting with spirit, and the metabolism, the stress response. And when I went to this reading, I had heard about it from a friend. And of course, you know, you go in skeptical, right? Because why not? Right? So I'm there, I'm skeptical, and then also like I'm fasted so that I can be sharp and, you know, perceptive of what's going on in my environment. And so during the reading, towards the end of it actually, the lady who was doing my reading, her stomach gurgled super loud, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm fasting right now. And I was like, what are you talking about? Why are you fasting right now? Like, tell me what's going on here. And that was you know, I would say that I had started like my little spiritual journey a little bit beforehand, but that moment there really blew open the doorway like so wide for me personally. And I was asking her about, you know, I was asking her, I had this hypothesis that people who did that type of work, that medium spiritual work, who were connecting with other energies, that they would be more susceptible to autoimmune diseases. That's why they had the sensitivities, because my body kept getting, it's like when I got out of college, like gradually at the end of my college years, I started to become very, very sensitive. So I could not drink alcohol anymore. I diagnosed myself with Asian flush syndrome. I know, guys, I'm not Asian, okay? But it's a common disease among Asian peoples, that they're missing the enzyme in the liver to break down alcohol called alcohol dehydrogenase. And basically what happens is if you don't have the enzyme to help break down the alcohol just shoots into the bloodstream really fast. So it's like alcohol is a poison, right? So essentially like what was happening to me was I'd get super sick. Like with one sip, my face would become flush, Asian flush. So my face would become flush and I would just feel sick. Like my body was like, Rachel, we don't need this anymore. And I think it was because I had stopped drinking for a little while and then I was trying to like, you know, fit in again, and my body was just like, no, we're not doing this anymore. And so I was also discovering these sensitivities with foods like breads and, you know, the seed oils. That's why I am always like, I mean, we do know biologically, chemically, the seed oils destroy cell membrane function. If it destroys cell membrane function, it is destroying your hormone function. If you're destroying your hormone function, you're destroying your lean muscle mass, you're destroying your skin health, right? Your sexual health, everything. Your cell membrane, the health of the individual cell is your entire nervous system. So it became like I had to start looking into deeper chemistry of the food that I was eating. Like, where are all of these little poisons I'm getting, you know? And it was coming from, too, it's coming from your toothpaste, it's coming from the tap water in your shower, it's coming from the deodorant. It had aluminum in the deodorant, you know, fluoride in the toothpaste. We know that these things chemically distort our cellular functioning. So, you know, I mean, these videos are for people who are struggling and who have sensitivities, who are really wanting to change things. You know, it does take being at a certain rock bottom, at least for me, to actually make the change, you know, right? Like, I was on the verge of, you know, quitting, and I was like, there has to be something else, there has to be something else. And my sensitivities led me to search, to keep searching for more. And so anyway, I was talking to the lady who's doing my reading, I'm still friends with, and she was telling me that a lot of people in the spiritual community have a lot of autoimmune related issues. And so I just found that super fascinating, and I knew that I was meant to meet her, and it took me even deeper on my journey with you know, this here, like 911 nutrition, and getting as many amino acids as possible, like especially if you're sensitive, especially if you're intuitive, because there's so much going on. Like, me personally, like, I pick up, if I walk in a room and things are stressful, like, I just pick up on people's energies like really easily. And, you know, not knowing, that's something that I have to work on, is to be in my own little shoes, and to not pick up on people, not let other people's energies affect me. But this has been my journey to learning about this, and to learn how to keep the cell whole and strong. And it's like, where does the cell components come from? And it comes from all of these amino acids and fatty acids. And when you're choosing animal-based proteins, I have a feast and famine approach, right? So I'm not like constantly eating all the time, but when I do eat, I try to eat, you know, for economic reasons, I try to eat everything that I can eat. If I can eat my animal-based protein and I don't have to eat for another day or two, that's what I'm gonna do, right? Because I know it has all of the amino acids, it has all of the essentials, and there's some non-essentials and conditional as well. And so if I can give my body this, and then I can give myself rest, some sunlight, some movement, right? Those pathways to help my body break it down. Because it's true, like tryptophan, you can have too much tryptophan in your diet, right? You can have too much of anything, right? Too much of anything is a bad thing. And a lot of us have too much food in general. It's good not to eat. We're supposed to go through that process of autophagy every night, those healing pathways, the GLP pathways, the GLP-1 pathways that a lot of our drugs and medications are designed to put us in, is those resting autophagy pathways, so that the cell can buckle down and clean itself. And so, yeah, so years ago, you know, when I was thinking about fasting, I was thinking about the medication I was taking which comes from tryptophan. I was taking a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And so I'm thinking here, I'm like, you know, my cells at the cellular level, they must be stressed out. I probably got a lot of damage, you know, throughout my years as a child. I was always sensitive. I would get heartburn when I'd eat Popeyes. And, you know, I had metabolic issues when I was in high school. I just didn't know it. I didn't know how to read my symptoms in my body. And, you know, throughout the years of my childhood, I just remember sticking styrofoam plates all the time in the microwave and literally watching them disintegrate into my food, and I was still eating that food. And I don't know where that food came from. And, you know, my parents, everybody does their best. My parents gave me everything. They gave me so much love. But now, you know, I share this information with them. I share the information about the coconut oil with them. I share the information about the cellular health with them, because we're always just learning and growing together, you know. And as you get older, your body starts to change, and you start to come a point in time where you're like, yeah, my body isn't the same. I'm holding more fat. I'm losing muscle, and it's like, why is this happening? When we focus on the cellular level, we can make things easier, right? Like a lot easier. And I said, how can I get rid of this anxiety, Rachel? Like, where is this coming from? It's coming from the cellular level. So fasting is one of the best ways to repair your cells at the cellular level. So that was my game plan, right? I would feast and famine and try to clear out as much trauma as I could. That's all we can ever do, you know? And in that way, it also allowed me to step back from training so much. I do think a lot of people overtrain. Like we train, it doesn't make sense to me really. You know, training and being active and moving is supposed to lead you to flexibility. It's supposed to lead you to less pain and, you know, more agility, better reflexes, right? We're working on the cerebellum, cognitive speed, right? You're not supposed to be tired. And I think a lot of people overtrain, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of like pre-workouts and whatnot too, because I think pre-workouts really they dim your ability to perceive how your nervous system is handling the exercise. Now I do drink like caffeine, right? But when I was taking a step back and figuring out what other areas I could tackle and have a more balanced and flexible approach to all of this, it was getting out in the sunlight more, synthesizing vitamin D. You know, a lot of people are going to the gym and you're working so hard and you're doing all these things, and it could be easier if you just got your vitamin D levels up, you know? Like something so simple as going to put yourself in sunlight and your body is like working and repairing on its own. It's sort of like going to the gym. It's the exact same thing at the cellular level. Fasting too. When I started to put all these other modalities in, I wasn't working as hard, right? Passive health. You want to make it as passive as possible, and definitely getting out those refined seed oils, those toxic fats. They cause so much oxidation. Oxidation is accelerated aging. We want to be able to manage our oxidation levels. We already have enough as is. Your mitochondria are they're already doing so much work for you. So pay attention to yourselves. Think of yourselves, right? You know, if you're going to the gym, think about you. Think about your cells. You know, it's easy to compare yourself to other people. I have a twin sister, so I can speak on this with full truth. It is so easy, especially when you have other people comparing you to someone who looks exactly like you and figuring out all your differences right in front of you, right? But the only thing that matters is what you think of yourself, and these are your cells. They're nobody else's. So when you look in the mirror and you are looking at that little tummy area that you dislike, remember that who you're talking to. You are talking to yourself. And say, look, I know I maybe haven't been doing the best that I could do to take care of those cells in that area of my body. What can I do to improve? Maybe, you know, that visceral fat, that tummy fat area. Fasting is one of the number ways to reduce the inflammation in that area, reduce the fat around those important organs. That's a dangerous place to have fat around that tummy area. So fasting is one of the number ways to reduce that. Of course, you can't talk about fasting without talking about sleep, and proper nutrition. So 911 nutrition, getting as many essential amino fatty acids as possible. So I hope that this video is helpful for you on your healing journey and on your spiritual journey as well, if you are on your spiritual journey. This has helped me connect more with myself. It's helped me build confidence. Of course, this is an ongoing process. Every single day is an ongoing process, and always having setbacks. Setbacks are like a slingshot. It's like a bow and arrow. You know, you think you're going backwards, but you're just pulling back the bow, ready to let go. That's all it is. If you feel like you took a step behind, you got a little bit behind, don't even worry. You're about to sling forward. Just focus on tomorrow and what you can do. That's all you can do. So share this with your family, with your friends. Tell them that you love them. If you want to support this channel, you can like, share, or subscribe. I will also have my Venmo down below if you want to support my studies and this channel further. But as always, good luck.